Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Aishwarya Parab and today I'll be teaching you all how to integrate ChatGPT API in your application. So we are creating two things. One is a client that will be created using a React app and the other one is a server. So we are creating a server application using Node.js. So essentially we will have a Node.js API endpoint that will interact with OpenAI's ChatGPT API, and the response that API gives us will be given back by our own Node.js API, which will be shown on our React application. So the response that is given to us in our React application will be given by our Node.js API endpoint, and our Node.js API in turn will interact with OpenAI's API endpoint. Okay, so there are three things here if you can visualize it. React, then Node.js, and then OpenAI's API endpoint. Okay, so if you're at all interested in integrating ChatGPT's API into your application, then let's get started with today's video, shall we? So the first thing that we need is of course VS Code. I have created a folder here named ChatGPT. Now here we will create two more folders. The first folder will be a client folder. So this is a React application, and to create this React application we will be using Vite. So we are using Vite or Vite or White, however it is pronounced. We are using that for faster local development. And then we'll create another folder with the name of server. Now this shouldn't be inside client, this should be outside client. Okay, so these are two folders. This server application is a Node.js application. So the first thing that we will do here will be Node.js development. So we will create a custom API endpoint first, and then we will create a React application that will interact with our Node.js app. Okay, so for that I will cd into the server folder. Okay, so I will say cd server, and now I will say npm init -y. So I'm using this -y to avoid all these questions. So usually when we just say npm init, we get a couple of questions that we need to say yes to or no to. Now in this case, I'm saying yes to all the questions. That's why I'm using this flag. Okay. So with this, I have my package.json ready here. Now inside the server folder, I can create another file, which is the index.js file. Okay, so index.js file. So this is the main file in which my code will be present. Even here you can see the main file is index.js. Okay, so I will close the terminal for now. Okay, and inside this index.js I need express to easily do node development. So express is basically used to make your node development easy. I also need cross origin resource sharing, which is CORS. I need that because I'll be interacting with my React frontend. So when you have two ports running, or when you have a frontend that is interacting with your node backend, that is when you need the CORS package. And apart from that, I also need body parser because I'm making a post request, right? So I'm making a post request and sending a JSON object basically. So to pass the JSON, I need body parser. So let's quickly install these three packages. So inside server, I will say npm I express, CORS, and body parser. So this will take some time to install. Okay, so all three packages have been installed. So now what we can do is we can initialize them. So const express equals require express, and then we can say const CORS equals require CORS, and then const body parser equals require body parser. Okay, so all the three packages that we have installed, we have required those packages in our index.js. Now we need to create our app, right? So we can say const app equals express. So this will create an express app for us. Apart from that, we need to use CORS. We have required CORS in our index.js, but we need to use CORS. So therefore we will say app.use CORS. Okay, this is how we use CORS. Similarly, we also need to use body parser in order to pass the JSON. So what we will do is app.use body parser dot json. Okay, this is how we use body parser in our application. Now we need to listen to the app. In order to listen to the app, we know that the convention is app.listen, and we need to specify a port here. So the port on which we are listening. So how will we specify this? We will create another variable right here. So we will say const port, which is equal to let's say 3000. Okay, let's say that our application is running on port 3000. Now there's one more convention of initializing the port variable. If you're doing local development, then you can specify any port here. For example, right now I have specified port as 3000, but in case you deploy your Node.js application to some website, then they try to take your port number from your .env file. We haven't created any .env file yet, but at times they try to read the port number from the .env file. So another convention that many developers follow is to say process.env.port. Okay, and then say or 3000. So when you're doing your local development, we can use port 3000 as our port, but in case you deploy this somewhere, then any port which is mentioned in your .env file will be taken by default. Okay, now in order to use a variable from your env file, we need a package known as .env. So let's download that quickly. So I'll say npm i.env. Now this will download the .env package, and we need to configure this .env package in order to be capable of reading the port variable from our .env file. Okay, so I'll just say const .env equals require.env, and then I will quickly configure the .env file right here. So it's very easy. I just need to call the config function of .env. So with this, I can read any variables that I define in my .env file. As of now, I haven't defined it because let's take the default port as 3000. So I'm listening on this port, and I'm also running a function. Okay, this is the function that I'm running, the callback function. So here I will just console.log. Okay, let's use the literal string. So I will say, sorry, so server running on port. Okay, so this is the variable that I defined for port. So I will just say server running on port. Okay, now let's see whether our Node.js application is running fine. So I'll open the terminal, and see, I haven't downloaded Nodemon yet. So Nodemon is a npm package which is used to track Node.js development. So any change that you make to your index.js file, it will track it, and those changes will be reflected, and your index.js file will be running indefinitely. Now if you don't use Nodemon, then you will have to use node index.js. Okay, you will have to survive with this. Now when you run node index.js, basically you are running this file, and you can see that our node application is working fine, and it is listening on port 3000. So if you get this on your console, it means that you have done everything correctly. Okay, but now if I make a change here, let's say I remove this. Okay, and now if I save this change won't be reflected right here. I won't be able to reflect this change right here. So for this reason, I need something known as Nodemon. So let's quickly download that package. Npm i Nodemon. And by that time, I'll check the scripts. Okay, so here you can see in package.json we have something known as scripts. So I can configure my start script. Okay, right here. So I can just say when I start, that time you run nodemon index.js. So I'm configuring my script here. So whenever I'll say npm start, okay, whenever I'll say npm start, inherently nodemon index.js command will run, which will inherently run node index.js. Okay, but Nodemon is listening to our port continuously. That's why node index.js will run indefinitely. This is what will happen. Okay, so I hope you're understanding. We have written a start script because we want to start our server using the command npm start, which will inherently or internally run nodemon index.js command, which is listening to our port indefinitely, and this in turn is running node index.js. Okay, so let's see how this works. So I will say npm start. So you can see that I've run this command, which is npm start. Now as a result of this, the start script that we have configured, that starts running, and now we have configured it to nodemon index.js. So nodemon index.js starts running. So when we call the command nodemon index.js, and since we have nodemon directly installed, we are listening to our port 3000 indefinitely. But as I said, nodemon inherently calls node index.js. So you can see node index.js, right? So here if I go into index.js, and now if I change anything, now if I remove this and if I save, that change will be easily reflected here. Okay, so I'm pretty sure you have used Nodemon before, but this is just for those who don't know what Nodemon is and who are using Nodemon for the first time. Okay, you can do your job with Node as well. It's just that you won't be able to listen to your port indefinitely, and you don't want to run Node again and again when you have more difficult stuff to do, right? So with this, we are done with our application. Of course, we are not done with ChatGPT implementation, but we are done setting up our Node app. Okay, now we will go to ChatGPT's website. So this is the website that you might have visited before since ChatGPT's launch, of course, and you might have logged in from here and then accessed ChatGPT's website. But right now what we want to do is we want to read their API docs because we want to integrate their API. So you can go here, developers menu, and then go to API reference, and you can see that in order to integrate their API, you can either use Python. If you're using Python, then you will need this command. But if you're doing it in Node.js, which we are doing right now, then you can integrate this. So basically, you can integrate OpenAI NPM package. So let's copy this and paste it in another terminal. So basically, this is the terminal wherein your server is running. Now, I don't want to close this. I don't want to restart the server again and again. So I have created another terminal right here. Make sure that you're going into the server directory, and after that you paste this, which is npm install OpenAI. OpenAI is the name of the package that they are using. So hit enter, and now this will download in some time. Okay, so it's ready. So now we can go back here. So once you read this document, you will understand that this is an API wherein you need an API key. So in order to access the API, you need the API key. We will soon create an API key. Now, if you're doing this in Python, let's say you want to do this in Python, then this is something that you need to follow. They also have something known as playground. And now you'll be able to see this tab if and only if you log in. So right now I have logged into the website. Okay, I've logged into the website. You can use your Google account in order to log in, and you will be able to see this tab of playground. Otherwise this tab won't be visible to you. This playground helps you to visualize your request. Okay, so I'll soon let you know how you can do that. Now this is something of our interest, right? So if you want to do this in Node.js, then you need to follow these steps. Making requests. Yeah, so we'll get into all of this. Right now they are using the GPT 3.5 turbo model, and as far as I know about this, I feel the turbo model is paid. GPT 3.5 model is paid. So what we can do right now is we can go into examples, or let's go into playground. Okay, let's visualize how our request should be. So in here, you can enter a message. See, this is self-explanatory. Enter a message here. So let's say I want the current temperature in Goa. Okay, I live in Goa. So let's find out what the current temperature in Goa is. You have reached your usage limit. Okay, so this is the error that you will get. Okay, and I wanted to show you all this error because many people have been getting this error. Now this is because the API key that you have has been expired. Now I have been using ChatGPT since its launch. I don't know how many months have passed since ChatGPT has launched. Now, but once you log in into ChatGPT, you get an API key for free, which you can use for around 3 months. Okay. If I'm not wrong, correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. But I feel you can use the API key for free for around 3 months once you log in into ChatGPT. Now, since I have been using my account for a very long time, my API keys have expired and I have reached my usage limit. So what I need to do is I need to create a new account. But the catch here is, if you create a new account using the same mobile number as your previous account, then you won't be able to get another API key. Okay, you will get a new ChatGPT account, but of course you won't get another API key because they are smart enough to not give you one. So what you need to do is you need to create a new account using a new mobile number. So use a new email ID, use a new mobile number and create your account. With that you will get an API key that will last for 3 months, and you can do all your development work within those 3 months. Okay, I feel 3 months is the time, but please do your research. So what I'll do right now is use my brother's API keys. Okay, so I'll do that in a while and I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back and I'm using my brother's account now. So he is young and he has not explored ChatGPT so much. So I have created a new account using his number and his email ID so that I get my free API key. So I'm in the playground tab right now, and you can paste your query right here. So let's say I want to know why Goa is so famous among Indians and other tourists. So I can just say, why is Goa, or what is Goa famous for? Okay, what is Goa famous for? Famous for. Okay, and I will submit my request. So I'm getting a response from ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is saying that Goa is famous for its beautiful beaches, vibrant nightlife, colonial architecture, and rich Portuguese heritage. Blah blah blah. So basically, it's giving me the response to my query. Okay. Now you can see that the model it's using is GPT 3.5 Turbo. Now, when I created this application long ago, the model that I was using was Text DaVinci. Uh, I think so, Text DaVinci 003, if I'm not wrong. And right now, I cannot find that model here. So, I can only find like GPT 3.5 models. And as long as I remember, these models were paid at that time. But now they have made them free for everybody. So if you have like 5 credits or something like that, then you can use GPT 3.5 Turbo model, and we are going to use that because I cannot find Text DaVinci model here. Otherwise, you could find the Text DaVinci model here itself, okay, in this drop down itself. So now they have changed their website a little, and they have given you the GPT 3.5 model for free, which is accurate, which is more accurate as compared to the Text DaVinci chat model. Okay, now in order to see the code, like in order to know how exactly can we replicate this in our Node.js application, you have this button here that says view code. So click on it, and first of all there's a drop down here. I think so by default Python is selected, so you can use this drop down and select Node.js instead. Now when you select Node.js, you will be able to see the code that you need to write if you have a Node.js application. So first of all, you need to require the OpenAI package that you have installed. Let's do that. Otherwise, let's do one thing. Let's copy this entire thing, paste it on VS Code, and then analyze it. So I will go to VS Code and I will paste it after this. Okay, somewhere here. So what am I doing right now? I have already installed OpenAI, if I'm not wrong. I'll just check again. Yeah, so OpenAI package has already been installed. So I'm requiring the package, and I want these two things, configuration and OpenAI API from the OpenAI package. Now I need another variable configuration, which is nothing but an instance of the configuration class. And here I have my API key. So here I'm configuring my API key from the .env file. Now this is where we need to create our .env file. So inside the server folder, I will create my .env file. Okay, I will use this exact name, paste it here, and I need my API key. Now you'll be like, where can I find my API keys, right? So go to the application again, and I think, if I'm not wrong, under API reference, when they talk about authentication, here they are asking you to visit their API keys page. Now once you click on this, if you have created any secret API keys before, then they'll appear here. If not, then you won't get any API keys, right? So you need to create a new one. So click on this button, and you can give it any name. For example, I'm giving it a name of ChatGPT API, and you can create your secret API key. This is something that you need to copy. It says that you won't be able to view your API key again, so it's a good option if you can copy this and save it somewhere in your notepad for easy access. So copy this down and maybe open notepad and save it right here. Okay, so that you can access it easily, as you won't be able to view it after you're done with this. After you're done with the creation, you won't be able to view it. Now, the next thing that you need to do is go back to your application and paste the API key right here. Okay, so make sure that your API key is valid. Make sure that, and how can you check if your API key is valid, right? So you can go to their website, and here there's something known as billing or usage. Okay, let's see if we can find something here. So under usage, you can see that you are currently using the free trial, and you get 5 credit points. Okay, based on those free trial, and the free trial will expire on November 1st. So till November 1st you can use this API key. Okay, that is what it says. So you will exactly know when you won't be able to use it. Okay, so now that you have your API key, go back to VS Code, save this .env file, and in index.js you have already configured this. Okay, we know that we are using .env.config, so we have already configured this. Now what we can do right now is we could develop everything inside one file, which is index.js, but I don't want to clutter this file. Okay, I want index.js to be a configuration file which will set up my Node.js application, and that's it. I'm not doing anything above and beyond that. So what I'll do right now is create another folder inside my server folder, and I will call this folder routes. So this is a convention that we follow while creating an API endpoint. We will create a routes folder, and inside the routes folder, I will specify all the routes that are related to one function in one particular file. So if I create one file, let's say chat routes. Okay, I'm creating one file with the name of chat routes. Now all the routes that are associated with the chat API will be inside the chat routes file. Okay, now I know that in order to access node and write node better, I need something known as express. So I will quickly initialize express. Apart from that, I need see, if I'm creating another file known as chat routes, it means that all of this code that I've written, okay, I will just cut this out and I will paste it here. So all of this code will go into this file because I want to declutter my index.js file. My index.js file is only meant to set up a connection, okay, to set up a proper server connection, and nothing else. No other logic will be written in this file. So that's why I'm modularizing my code a little. I know that this is a small application and I don't need to do this in a small application, but it's better to follow the best practices. But now if you notice here, I do have express, but I don't have .env file, right? Sorry, I don't have the .env package. I need the .env package in order to configure this .env file. So what I'll do right now is I'll say const.env is equal to require .env, and I will say .env.config. Okay, so with this I have configured my .env file, and I can happily use process.env.openai.api key. Now apart from this, if I'm using routes, then I need to use router, right? So I need to use something known as router, so which looks something like this: router express dot router. Okay, so here I'm configuring my router, and with the help of this router I will be able to create my APIs, like my post API or my get API, delete API, update API, so on and so forth. So because of that reason I need something known as router. Now we will learn where exactly this router is used, but for now I have modularized my code. I have cut all this code from my index.js file and pasted it inside this. And now we'll analyze this. So we know that we are using OpenAI package, and here is where we are using our OpenAI key, and then we are using OpenAI API, and we are passing all of this configuration to this. Okay, all of this configuration goes here, and now we have something known as OpenAI. So this is the most important thing. Okay, this is the most important thing, because this particular thing has a function known as create chat completion, and this create chat completion will give us the response. This function will give us the response. Okay, and this is the response that we get. Now if we only have this, if we only run this, it means that we are not creating any Node.js API endpoint as such. We are not creating our own endpoint which we can hit, right? So all of this should run when I create an API endpoint for myself. Okay, so let's create one. Let's just say router dot post, because it will be a post request. Why a post request? Because I'm sending all of this in my request, right? I'm sending my prompt in the request. Here you can see messages, right? So I'm sending my prompt in the request. So this messages array takes an object. Okay, this is actually an array of an object, and inside this object there are two fields. The first field is of the role. Now this role can be the assistant. Okay, so this role is equal to the assistant, and the second field that we have inside this object is the content. Okay, now this content is the prompt that we will give to ChatGPT. Now when we use ChatGPT's website, we write questions or we ask ChatGPT to do a few things. Now whenever we give a question, whenever we pose a question to ChatGPT, that is called as prompt. Okay, so content key will have a value. Let's say I want to know why Goa is so beautiful, then I can just give why Goa is so beautiful as the value to the content key. Okay, you will understand this better when we implement this, but that's all for now. Messages is an array, but it takes one object having two fields, role and content. Okay, so now we'll do one thing. We will create a Node.js route. So I was creating a route here, router.post. And let's say the route that we want to hit is the slash chat route. This is our personalized, customized route. Okay, slash chat is the personalized, customized route. And the function that I want to run is an async function. So this is an async function because inside the function I will call this, right? I'm gonna call this inside my async function, and since I need to await for OpenAI, since this is an async operation, I need an async function. Okay, so rec comma res, this is an arrow function that I'm creating. Okay, now all of this code will go inside this. Understood? Now it can so happen that this particular code can fail. Let's say there's some error, and whenever we call APIs, there can be some intermediate errors, right? So that's why I need to put this entire code inside try catch blocks. So I will say try. So try this basically. Try this. If it fails, then it will go into the catch block. So catch error, and here all I will do is I will return the error. So res.status with a status of 500, which represents internal server error. I will send the error that I'm catching. Okay, and if everything is successful, let's say if everything is successful, then I will return something, then I will return the response. But I want to know how the response looks. As of now, I don't know how the response looks, right? Now for that reason, you can go back to ChatGPT's website, because their API documentation is really good. So what you can do is, whatever you have typed here, why is Goa beautiful, you can view the code, and in the drop down, instead of selecting Node.js, you can select curl. Okay, you can select this option of curl, copy this down, then go to Postman. So here I have a collection ready with me, which is my ChatGPT collection. You can make a new collection, and now click on import. Okay, click on import here, and now go to raw text. Here you can see that we can paste our curl commands. So the curl command that you have copied from ChatGPT's website, you can paste it here, and once you are done pasting, click on continue. Okay, now you will get this, say import, and now you have ChatGPT's API endpoint. This is not our API endpoint, this is ChatGPT's API endpoint. So from our Node.js application, we are going to hit this API endpoint. It is going to be a post request. So this is not something that I have configured. It is something that we have automatically got because we are using the curl command. Okay, so using the curl command, we have imported a request. So this will be a post request. We are going to hit this API. You can go into authorization and check if we are using anything. Okay, so inside headers, the authorization key is set up. Now here you can see we are using a bearer token, but we don't have any variable set up like OpenAI API key. That variable is not set up. So we will open our notepad file, copy our API key that we had pasted in our notepad file, and here we will paste it. Okay, instead of this, I will paste my API key. So now I have configured this. I have my API key ready, and now I will also get to see what we need to send in the body. So as of now, we didn't have any idea. We were totally clueless about what exactly we need to send in the body, right? But now we know that all of this is already configured in Node.js. Like we have the model set up, we have the temperature, max tokens, all of this is set up. But there's something that is not set up, which is messages. Okay, the messages array is empty, and if the messages array is empty, we are not going to get a response because we are not sending anything to the Node.js app. So what we will do right now is we will create an object inside the messages array. Now this object has one field called as role, and we can give a value of assistant to this role, and the second field that we have is called content. And let's say I really want to know why Goa is so beautiful. So I will say, why is Goa so beautiful? Okay, this is the prompt that I'm passing to the content key. Now, once I'm ready with this, I will send this particular request, and let's see what response we get. Okay, so this took a little bit of time, but finally we have a response here. And I have also researched a little on the role key. Now, as of now, I've set my role as assistant, and I'm getting what is required. So basically, the prompt that I gave is, why is Goa so beautiful? And it has given me reasons, of course. Goa is considered beautiful for various reasons. So this answer that I'm getting inside the content field is good enough. Okay, this is something I want, but I wanted to know if there are any other roles. So I know one role, which is user. Okay, assistant is one type of value that we can give to the role key, but apart from that, there's user, there's system. And how did I know about this? I just searched a little, and after searching, I got this Stack Overflow thread. Now here you can see that there are three values that you can give to role, right? System, user, and assistant. Here you can see that if you are chatting with ChatGPT, then you can use the role as user. Okay, now if you want the assistant to reply, it means OpenAI ChatGPT server who is replying your user role, then you can use the role as assistant. Okay, or else if you want a system developer to reply, then you can use the role as system. So you can use any one of these three: user, assistant, or system. Now right now I'm using assistant. Okay, but you can use any role as per your convenience. Again, you need to research from your side as well. So with this, we know that how we will get the response, and we also know how we need to send our request. Okay, we need to send our request in this way through our Node.js application, and this is how we will get our response inside the message, inside the choices array that has one object which has a message key, a message JSON object, and inside the message JSON object we will have a content key, and inside the content key we will have our answer. So the answer will be the content key's value. Okay, this is what we have understood. Now we'll come back to VS Code, and this is what we need to fill, right? Everything else is set up. You need whatever you need is already set up, but this is where we need to give our prompt. Okay, so to create our own post request, so let's say I'm going back to Postman. I will create a new request here, and when I'm creating our own post request, it will be HTTP localhost 3000, because I'm listening to port 3000. And then okay, there's one more thing that we didn't do. We have created our routes, but we are not listening to our routes, we are not using our routes, right? We will soon use our routes, but before that I just want to show you how my request will look like. So my request has oh, this should go here, sorry, this should go here. And the endpoint that I'm hitting is the slash chat endpoint. So I can just say chat gpt chat gpt response, let's say. Okay, chat gpt response, let's name it this way. And chat is my main endpoint, so this is my customized endpoint that I've created. Now you can see that my body is empty, right? I don't have anything inside the body section. I will go to raw and I will select JSON. This is important. Most of the times we make a mistake here, we forget to select JSON. Now here is where I need to send my prompt, right? So let's say I have a JSON object, and inside this JSON object I have a key with the name of prompt, and here is where I'm sending my prompt. So let's say, why is Goa beautiful? This is my prompt, right? Now when I send this request, I should get a response that should only have the answer, that's it. And this is the prompt which will be sent to ChatGPT's API, and corresponding to this prompt we will get a response from ChatGPT's API that we will show on our front end. Okay, so basically in the response we should only get the answer. We shouldn't get what model it is, we shouldn't get what role we are specifying. So the previous response that we got here, I think so this is the post request. So if you check the response, there are other redundant things, because this is the response of ChatGPT's API. But we don't want to create a similar API, right? Otherwise there's no point of creating a customized API. So what we want is just this response, nothing else. Okay, so that's why we are creating a customized API. So for that we will have to pass the prompt that we are passing in our body as the content here. Okay, so this why is Goa so beautiful is like a variable, so I will substitute this with prompt. Okay, so let's do that in VS Code. So what I will do here is I know that I'm making a post request, so I will get prompt from request.body. Okay, so from request.body I'm getting prompt. If you check, this is a post request. I think I didn't change it to a post request. It's a post request. In my request I'm passing prompt, so I need to get this prompt so that I can use it right here. Okay, this will be an object wherein right now I'm setting the role as assistant, right? My role was assistant, and I'm setting the content as prompt. Okay, remember this prompt that I'm passing in the body has my question, has my query. That's why I'm getting the prompt from the body and I'm pasting it right here. I'm assigning it to content. Okay, so this makes up the messages array, and I'm done with my API endpoint. All I need to do is send the response back. So looking at the previous response, I know that I need to send the choices array. Okay, but the choices array has many other things. I don't need all of these things. I need to first access this JSON object inside the choices array, and after accessing the JSON object, I need to access message, and then I need to access content in order to get the response. So let's do this. Res dot send. So when I will send the response, um, this response will be present in this variable, right? So the response variable will store the response. So I will say response dot choices, which is the array. Okay, but the first item of the choices array, the first element, I'm choosing that. After that, I'm choosing, let's see what we have next. We have message, okay, which is a JSON object. Message dot content, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, message dot content. Okay, now this will give me my complete response. This will give me my complete response. Okay, let's see whether this works. Now before this, in my index.js, I need to use these routes. I have defined the routes, but I'm not exporting these routes, and I'm not even using these routes in index.js, right? So in order to do that, after I'm done defining my routes, I will say module.exports, and then I will say router. Okay, I'm exporting the router. This router only has a post request as of now, but if I want any more requests to be associated with this router, then I can create them subsequently, and I only need to export this router. Now once I've exported this router, it should be used in index.js, right? So right here I will say app.use um, when I'm hitting slash. Okay, only when I'm hitting slash, I need to call these routes. Okay, first of all, I need to import these routes. So right here I will import const chat routes equals require. They are inside dot slash routes slash chat routes. Okay, and now I will just use chat routes here. Done. So what does this mean? When I'm hitting slash, okay, when I'm hitting localhost 3000, let's say I'm hitting localhost 3000, okay, when I hit this localhost 3000 slash, after that whatever comes should be taken from chat routes. After slash, whatever comes next, that should be taken from slash routes. Now I know that sorry, that should be taken from chat routes. Now I know that inside chat routes I have used this endpoint, which is slash chat. So basically I'm saying localhost 3000 slash chat. Okay, when this is called, when slash chat is called, that is the time this function will run. This async function will run when slash chat is called. But in order to call slash chat, what do we need? We need to first call this slash the slash endpoint, right? So that is what I mean. So once we are ready with this, now we are using the chat routes that we have created in a separate file. So let's quickly do one thing. Let's go back to our post request. This is our own post request, right? Slash chat. This is the post request, and let's hit the request. Okay, so I have got an internal server error. It means that we have gone into the catch block, right? Which means that there's some problem here. Okay, so I got it. So the thing is, we are trying to find choices array on response, but what we actually need to use is response.data, right? So any API response that we get, that API response is usually in a data array. So we need to use response.data and not just response, and I feel now it should work. So here if I hit send, Okay, so here you can see that we have got the response, and this is only plain response that we have got. We are not getting any other JSON keys. Okay, just the response, and we can display this response on a front end. Now creating a front end is very easy, right? You can create a plain React application. You can create one search bar wherein it's an input field. You are taking the prompt. Okay, in the input field you are just taking the prompt. There's a submit button which will submit the form. That submit button will call an API, which is this post API. Okay, this is your custom post API that you have created. On click of the submit button, you will call this post API, and the prompt will be nothing but whatever you have typed in the input tag. And then whatever response you are getting, this response right here, see this response that we are sending, that response can be stored somewhere in a state, and then you can display that state in a React application. So with that you will get a full stack working application with ChatGPT integration. Okay, so with this we are done with the backend part. We have our own API that gives a response. Now if we change the prompt, okay, let's say we are changing the prompt, and let's say I want to know uh, who is the best who is the best Indian cricketer. Okay, I'm a big cricket fan, so and I have my own favorites. I'm not naming them, but I'm just asking ChatGPT about like the best Indian cricketer, what it feels. So let's see what response we get. I can somewhat predict the answer, but I don't want to. So it is subjective to determine the best Indian cricketer, as it depends on individual opinions and preferences. Of course, this is correct. However, we have got a response though. Some of the widely regarded legends of Indian cricket include Sachin Tendulkar, of course, this name should be there. Virat Kohli also equally deserves it, and Sunil Gavaskar also. So these are the three prominent names that ChatGPT thinks belong to the best Indian cricketers. And yeah, I do agree. I do agree with all these names. But my favorite cricketer is not involved here. So it's not included in this list. Okay. My favorite cricketer is someone apart from Sachin Tendulkar, Virat Kohli, and Sunil Gavaskar, even though I admire these three cricketers a lot. So yeah, this is it. You can pass your prompt inside your body. You can pass any prompt. You can write a mail using this customized ChatGPT endpoint. You can write a LinkedIn post. You can frame a comment that you want to comment on someone's post, maybe then you can frame a good comment, and then use this ChatGPT endpoint for yourself rather than going to ChatGPT's site. But the main thing is having a front end. Okay, you have your own backend, but this is something that you could have done using ChatGPT's website as well, right? But when you have your own front end, let's say you have your own application, and you have a small icon right here in the bottom right corner, which is the ChatGPT icon. So once you click on the ChatGPT's icon, you should be able to see an input tag and a submit button. So which means ChatGPT's functionality has been integrated into your website. So in case you have a website wherein you want to integrate ChatGPT, this is the thing that you need to do. Okay, you just place an icon here. On click of the icon, you should be able to see a front end that can take in your prompt and give you a response there and there. So you won't be navigated to ChatGPT's website as such. You can do everything on your website. Okay, keeping the user on your website but giving it the capability of ChatGPT. That's the power of this application that we are creating. For now, I'm ending the video with this backend because it has. I thought that I'll complete all of this in one video, but let's make two videos of this because it has taken a lot of time. And I hope that you all have enjoyed this. I hope that you all have learned something new. And we have used the documentation. Okay, we have plainly trusted the documentation, and this is how development is done. You have the documentation ready with you. You read a couple of threads. Always the documentation won't help you. At least ChatGPT has created a good documentation wherein we can view the code based on whatever request we are setting in the playground. But there are many applications that do not have good documentation. They do tell you what to use, what not to use, but they won't tell you how you can implement something better than what's already existing. So it's important that you search. For example, I didn't know what the meaning of role was. I don't know what role could take, but then I searched, and I got a Stack Overflow thread wherein I understood that there are three values that role can take. I thought that there was only one value, which is assistant, but you can play around with those values and see if you're getting accurate results or some other results. Okay, so that is up to you. I have guided you to some extent, but it's your responsibility to go all out and find out more ways to use this efficiently. And if you find some more ways, if you find some other tricks and tips, you can share them in the comment section below. So our next video will be to create a simple front end. I think I will use MUI components, but there's not much to it. It's just one form that we have. Okay, but if you're at all interested in the front end, then the next video will be regarding that. We will create a front end wherein we will integrate this Node.js customized API endpoint, and then the response will be not just visible to you like this in Postman, but it will also be visible to you on a front end screen, like on your screen, okay, on your browser. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Till then, take care of yourself. Yeah, bye.